Hey, it's Honey, and guess what? I have my favorite co host tonight, and he has an amazing guest. And you know what? I don't know anything about it. So we're all going to be surprised. You, me, them. It's all going to be a surprise. But we're going to have fun because, hey, that's what we do here. We learn, we have fun, we talk about things we like. Sometimes it's weird stuff, sometimes it's normal stuff. I don't know. We just talk about stuff. So we're just having a good time. So come join us. Let's have a good time together. Hey, it's Honey, and welcome back to my channel, Perpetual Learning, where we're always learning, because if you're not learning, you're dying. And tonight, of course, we have my favorite, or my only co-host to help me with Honey Goes to the Drive-In. So, Bronson, who do you have tonight? Woo!
Well, he does a lot of things, but I'm going to go with just one, and we'll get into the other things he does. But director Josh Mason from Mason Studio.
Hello! Woo
Yeah, woo! Thank y'all for having me.
woo! Well, go ahead, Bronson.
Oh, I'm leading it. Okay. So I know you've been doing this for a long time, but you you kind of knew very early on that you wanted to be a director, right?
Yeah, well, so it started in high school. I actually, as a kid, I wanted to be a archaeologist because I was a big fan of the Indiana Jones movies.
Oh,
So a lot of
wow.
people don't realize that. But I didn't know at the time when I was a kid that archaeology is actually a really boring profession, and that most of the time you're in the library and not running from boulders or tribes shooting darts at you and all the cool,
Mm,
fun stuff that Indiana Jones gets to do. So
hmm
what I discovered as I got older was what I was really in love with was just film, was movies. I had this deep passion for movies. I grew up on film. I was always very, very close to my dad. He sadly passed away about a year and a half
I'm
ago, but that
sorry.
was kind of it was our bonding thing that we bonded over was just film. And so he
Mm,
raised me and my brothers on like 1980s action movies
all
and
right.
all that kind of fun stuff. So then I got into high school and we started getting assigned class projects. And so one of the first projects we got assigned was To Kill a Mockingbird. And I asked the teacher, they had like a list of the different types of projects we could do based off the book. So like, you do the usual big put a board together that's got all the information about the book, or you could write up a book report and all the boring school stuff that they typically do as class projects. I didn't want to do any of that. So I asked the teacher, I said, hey, instead of all that, could I just make like a little movie, like a short film off of it? And she was like, sure. So I borrowed my brother's little handy cam, and then he had a really terrible early editing program. This is back in 2005. And so we threw together a little To Kill a Mockingbird video, and I screened it for the class. And I remember at the end of the movie, the whole like classroom just erupted with applause, and everybody loved it
Aw.
and thought it was great. And so I knew in that moment, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be a
Aw.
film director. And so for the rest of my high school career, I was every class project that came up, I was making a little short film out of. And then I was so passionate about it, loved it so much that after high school, I started making my own original independent films and really enjoyed, made several of those, got on YouTube, started doing like little YouTube shorts and music videos and that kind of stuff. And just was very passionate about all of it, fell in love with the whole process. And, I was self-taught. I didn't go to film school or anything. And then when I started going to comic conventions where I would go to sort of promote the studio and promote my filmmaking, that was where I started coming in contact with a lot of the cosplayers who, are very talented people. And a lot of them ended up being actors and actresses. And so it kind of gave me the idea to delve into fan films. And that's sort of the thing that I have now probably become most well known for.
Mm-hmm.
For better or worse, I've kind of become known as the fan film guy because, I've had success. I did a Tomb Raider a fan film with I know
Yeah, I
Sarah's
saw
been on the
that one.
show. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a fun time.
Yeah, Sarah
Bronson
was in
made
that one, right? And yeah.
yeah, she was the lead. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Bronson did the
Yeah.
did a lot of the
Yep.
stunt
Yeah,
work
I was told
and
go watch that one.
yeah, that's our my claim to fame, I guess, is that movie.
No, they were
But
good.
we've done several others. We did that. We did a Legend of Zelda fan film. I've
Yep,
done a
saw that
Star
one.
Wars fan film. So anyway, that's kind of one of the things we've become most well known for, but it's been something I've had, what I consider to be from a small town. I've had a decent amount of success with it, and I just really enjoy doing it. And I've
Now, is
got
this
big
your full-time
plans.
job or is this your
No,
hobby?
it's a side
Just
side
a
deal
hobby?
that I do.
Yeah.
So I do a number of things. My day job, that's my boring day job, is I'm the marketing director for a law firm. My brother is actually the kicking lawyer.
Oh, yeah. I heard about this.
And yeah, he does criminal defense. So that's the day job, and then I run a marketing agency on the side. That's kind of like my side gig, Masonite Digital Marketing, and I do everything from website design, television commercial production, you name it, SEO work, all that fun stuff. So all types of digital marketing, and I do that. That's for clients
Mhm.
available all across the country. So whether
Oh,
they're in
wow.
California, New York, local, Florida, wherever, they can hire us, and we can build them a website, shoot them a commercial, all that kind of stuff. And
Cool.
then Mason Studios, I call it my fun hobby that I do, even though it's a very expensive hobby.
Yeah, I bet.
And that's where I make my little fun films that I want to make, that are just really for me. And that's out of all of it, that's what's gotten me the most notoriety, I guess.
Yeah, I'd
So
never even heard of fan films until Bronson. I think we were interviewing maybe Sarah, and you were talking about fan films. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then
yeah, so
so he was
a
telling
lot
us
of
all about it.
people A lot of people aren't aware of fan film. Here's a fun, interesting fact about me that I think a lot of people don't realize is, like I said, I've gotten most well known for making the fan films, which of course are just short films that are based on, popular franchises, whether it be video games, comic books, other movies, that sort of thing. Uh, and I actually prefer to make original films. And a lot of
Mm.
people would probably be shocked to hear that, because I'm so well known for doing the fan films. But what I've discovered in all the years I've been making movies is that when I make original content, there's no brand recognition, so
Hmm.
nobody watches it. So you
Oh.
can make like one of the best original films ever, that's like,
Hmm.
just a really good idea with a really good story and great acting and great cinematography and all that. But if it doesn't have the brand recognition, nobody really will care. But if I go and make a Tomb Raider fan film,
Hmm.
apparently 150,000 people care.
Yeah, I
So
saw you have
that's
a
the
lot of
reason.
viewers. You have a lot of clicks on all your
Yeah,
videos.
that movie specifically was very popular. But even some of the other fan films we've done have gotten a great amount of traction. The Zelda fan film we did, I think last I checked, was
Probably because
around
they're
30 or
like searching.
40,000.
You think it's because they're searching and because that's a
Yeah,
name
I think
that they're finding
part
you?
of it is the keywords for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that people are searching for those types of things, and fan films are just popular. There is a whole section of the internet of people that will just go on YouTube and exclusively search up fan films to
Oh,
watch.
wow.
So I think
Yeah.
that's
And
part of it too.
and in Tomb Raider, coincidentally, I did play three different roles.
I heard about
That's the
Yes,
real
this is
reason.
what I've heard about it. Yeah.
That's the reason
He's
that
always
movie's got so
bragging
many
about
views.
this.
It's all
He's always
Bronson's
bragging.
performance.
Go ahead, Bronson. Brag a little more how you're such a good actor. You can play three parts in one film.
No, but I did want to mention something real quick before I forget. Is I find it funny that we all fell in love with films, but we all fell in love with it. Like Josh wanted to direct,
Yeah.
Honey, you wanted to be on screen,
Uh-huh.
and I was kind of a mixture. I wanted to either do originally I wanted to do the makeup,
Oh,
but then I decided no, I want to be the stunt man. I was really into professional wrestling when I was a kid, and
I can see that. Yeah, I can see
and
that.
so I didn't actually get to do stunts until I was really too old to be doing it, and I met
Mm.
Josh. So I got to do it, and I got it
Extra
marked off.
padding. Extra
And I
padding.
and I,
You
I
need
got
a
to
you
cause
need a
him all kinds of injuries.
you need a stand-in stunt guy for the stunt guy.
That's
Nah,
right.
nah. It was the Resident Evil one that me and Brandy couldn't walk for 2 days.
Yeah, hey, in my defense, Bronson, I'm pretty sure, was the one that told me that he was A-okay.
Uh-oh. I lost you guys. Are you there? Hello? You're frozen. Hello?
Because Brandy could feel it,
Oh,
but it was
there you
that
are.
last shot.
You
Mhm.
froze up for a minute.
Oh, sorry. It was that last shot where I was doing kind of flip on the basketball court. The guy was
What
supposed to
was
punch
that?
me,
Oh, yeah, I do remember that shot.
and that
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
even,
yeah.
that wasn't even on film. I like did a half
Right.
turning twist and landed on hardwood like 3 times.
Every actor
But
says their best work winds up on the cutting room floor.
That's right.
it,
Yeah, that's right.
apparently, I've met a couple of stuntmen, and they told me that. I met a guy that was in one of the Mission Impossibles, and he said he got so banged up, bruised,
Mm.
worst injuries he's ever had without breaking a bone, and they cut it from the film.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. Well, I was on Dallas and they cut mine.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's no fun.
I was the
Yeah.
sexy, hot, busty uh bartender.
Hey, I played, technically I played a bartender too. I was in one of our it was a film I produced, I didn't direct, but my buddy Ryan, who you had on,
Hmm.
he directed the one of the Cowboy Bebop fan films that my studio produced it. And as part of the deal was I got to have little cameo appearances in the movie since I was
Oh,
the
cool.
producer. And so I played the little bartender role in that.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, I got to
That
have
was
I
fun.
was sitting right there with JR and oh gosh,
Mhm.
Bobby Ewing
Oh,
and
Patrick
okay,
Duffy,
cool.
Patrick
That's
Duffy.
cool. Yeah, yeah.
Larry
Yeah.
Hagman, and Patrick Duffy.
Yep. I was sitting
Yeah.
there serving, talking to them, serving them cocktails, and they're talking about some little plot or scheme or something they were up to, and we were in a bar and I was the bartender and
Yeah,
snip,
It,
that stuff has
snip,
always got to be
snip,
like,
snip.
maybe it felt this way for you, but that when you're working with somebody that's got like some kind of a, substantial name or
Hmm.
have made a name for themselves, I guess, in the industry, isn't there like a moment where when you're in that moment, you're working with that person where it's just a little surreal and you stop and have to say to yourself, wow, this is like really
Only at
weird that
first,
this is
because
happening.
they walk in, you're like, oh wow, and then you're like, I walked in like,
Right.
oh my god, I'm on Dallas, and look, there
Yeah.
they are, there's so and
Yeah.
so, and there's so and so, and oh my god, there's so and so, in
Right.
my mind, I was like, oh, but then when you start working, you
Excuse
kind of forget,
me.
and you're just on the set. But
Yeah.
Patrick Duffy and I did a lot of chit chatting off this offset. When we
Mhm.
wasn't our time, we hung out, we talked, and this, that, and the other, and
Yeah.
for some reason, I feel like we exchanged phone numbers. I may have talked to him later, but it's been so long ago, I can't remember. But I feel
Yeah,
like
no, I
that. But for
think
some reason, I feel like I did. I can't swear to it. I'd have to go back and find my little black book from the '80s or '90s or whatever.
right.
But
you should write a book.
I
I
don't
mean,
see that's the problem. I can't write a book when you don't remember because whoever, back those days, I could barely read because I was dyslexic. I never thought I was going to ever need to write a book. I didn't even keep a journal, and now like I got a 60-year-old brain and I'm thinking, what did I have for breakfast this morning? I don't remember.
but it's like Troy Aikman, Lou Diamond Phillips, um, Patrick Duffy,
I didn't
That's
um,
meet Lou
awesome.
Diamond
Yeah.
one of
Phillips.
the Von Erichs. It's like a
I didn't
new.
I didn't get to meet Lou Diamond Phillips. He studied at the same school I was at, but he was there the semester before me. He
Oh,
was
okay.
supposed to he was supposed to come and do like a teaching or something. And I think that was the day I got sick and wasn't there or something weird. Something weird happened. I was supposed to meet him.
Well, when I met him, he swear he remembered you. I'm guessing he watched Monster Vision
Well,
because
then maybe I
I
wasn't
told.
sick that day. I'm telling you, I don't remember anymore.
Oh, and one other thing about fan films, Josh, I wanted to mention is they are getting pretty big and pretty popular, even
Yeah.
among actors.
So, yeah, I just saw, I guess it was a month or two ago. I don't remember. I may have sent it to you. I can't remember. I sent it to a bunch of people. There was one that just came out recently that was a Wolverine Norse fan film. So it was
Oh,
like the character Wolverine, but as a Viking, and he's fighting all these other Vikings. And it had some of the best production value, choreography, acting, cinematography, like I'm talking, they didn't miss a beat. Like every aspect of that fan film's production was better than not only most independent films, but most of what Hollywood's putting out, to be honest with you.
wow.
And so I sent it to all my filmmaker friends, and I was like, "Y'all, the bar has been raised." And so we're in this cool era where I feel like creators, particularly fans, are sort of doing a lot of this stuff better than the big studios are,
Oh,
and people I think are starting to notice. and we have access now to a lot of stuff we used to not have access to. Like some of the big production cameras are getting much more affordable now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much easier for people to get access to, high quality 4K and even 8K rigs that they can shoot their movies with. And also we have great platforms like this, that we can put our content out there for the world to see. And so, it's not like the old days where you didn't have the money or access to the equipment or access to a platform, and you had to go to some big studio and get on hands and knees and beg and plead for money, to go get your film produced. Now, a lot of people can just do it themselves or fund things out of their own pocket. And so I think we're starting to see a lot more of that. But you're right, the fan films, I mean, they're taking off, man.
Well, at FrankenCon, Honey actually sat down and had cocktails at the bar with CJ Graham and Tom Matthews, who've both done
that's awesome.
several Fridays.
I know CJ has, yeah.
And they've been really very cool. Successful. And I kick myself now for not getting their phone numbers and staying in touch because they were really nice guys.
Well, you told me you said CJ's you said CJ's really hot, but he is so married.
Well, I don't go out with married men. I mean, I know. I friends.
You were just disappointed.
I told you he was a big hunk of man.
But yes, he is a big hunk of a man. But and Josh, and I don't know if you know this, Honey, but the Terrifier franchise, right?
It's an independent film series. Yep.
Started with nothing, and Terrifier 3 that just came out was $2 million.
What?
And I think they started originally with the original one like 20 grand, and then they just started building. And Felissa, by the way, Honey was in Terrifier 2, Felissa Rose. But Terrifier 3 cost about $2 million, and I think it ended its theatrical run at about $85 million.
What?
Yep. And Damien Leone, the director of those, is actually now starting to work. He's stepping out from the indie, side of the industry and stepping into the big boy side of the industry, and has been approached by big studios to go off and make films and things.
$2 million would make my script. Oh, it'd be good.
It's definitely a sign that anybody can do it if you're talented enough and you work hard enough. It's very possible. So
hell, you don't even have to be talented. Did anybody see that stinky movie Skinamarink?
I didn't see that.
Skinamarink costs like 10 grand. I think it made like 30 million. That writer, director, whatever, and Fangoria gave it awards. I have no idea. One of the worst things I've ever seen in the theater, and somebody's like, "You didn't understand it." I was like, "Well, I understood that my wife was falling asleep watching it, and she wasn't very happy with me." But same deal. I mean, I'm glad for the guy. I'm glad for that guy. He's set for life.
What was it, the Paranormal Activity movies? Y'all see those?
Yep.
They're kind of like found footage movies. Well, the very first one, I've only seen the first one, so I can't really speak to the sequels. But I saw the first one, did not like it at all. And the reason why is because I found out that the budget for it was about $15,000. And I could not, for the life of me, while watching that movie, figure out where they had spent $15,000.
Oh, no.
I was like, was it the Gold Bond powder they sprinkled on the floor and then put the chicken feet in? I could not figger out how because I was thinking at the time, this was when I was first kind of starting to get into the filmmaking or starting to take it seriously. And so at the time, all my stuff was super, super low budget. And I was thinking, if you gave me $15,000, I could have made a movie like 10 times better than that, And then this movie is going off and making millions of dollars at the box office on a $15,000 budget. And so it just that one made my blood pressure go up a little bit.
And this one, we all know, Blair Witch Project was the first and most genius one because you can't do this now, but they started a fake website. It made people really think it was real. So whenever that movie came out, 96 or 7, 90, whatever, people were going to that website. They really thought this happened.
Yeah, my oldest daughter made me go. She goes, "Mom, we got to go see it. This is real. This is real people's footage. There's a real witch out there." And I'm like, "Oh my God."
Did you believe it?
Me? No. I thought it was really good. It was making me dizzy. It was too dang shaky. Everything was like this.
I'll be honest. I had a roommate at the time that was, I'm not going to say what he did in his spare time, but this was a real tough guy, right? This is a guy I've seen knock people out, fight 5 or 6 guys at the same time. Kind of a gangster type individual, I would say.
Yeah.
Movie freaked him out.
Oh.
Freaked him out. I had never seen him scared in his life. And he's like, man, that was real, man. That was real. And I was like, no, dude, it's just a movie. He's like, no, man, it's real. And I was like, anyway, but absolutely genius on their part
Yeah.
for that.
Oh
So,
yeah, anything you could do. Even I think of like the first Saw movie, where even though it was shot more professionally, but it was all in really one room essentially. It was like one set,
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
and you had just two actors pretty much. Throughout the majority of the movie, and that was another one, super low budget, and made tons of money at the box office.
I saw the
Tony's
trailer
not
for
a
that.
fan.
I saw a trailer for that, and I was like, "Oh hell no!" I was like, "No."
Yeah, I like the Saw movies. I actually, they're one of my guilty pleasure films. I get it's one of those film series where like I get why people don't like them,
Uh-huh.
because especially the later ones they start getting real cheesy, especially with some of the acting and the script and whatnot. But I don't know, they're just a guilty pleasure movie for me.
Oof.
I've kind of got over them fairly quick, but I recognize why people love them. You
Mm,
know,
Yeah, yeah.
mm-mm. I knew what it was.
I
It was a
just like go.
saw and blood squirting. That's all I knew. That's all I needed to know. It was like a no.
you don't want to watch somebody saw their own foot off.
Like the movie Scream.
Can be cool.
Yeah, she doesn't need to watch the Terrifier films then,
Mm-mm.
because those make
And
the Saw movies look like My Little Pony by comparison.
That's kind of stuff makes me like secondary trauma or something. I might have PTSD afterwards. I don't want to see that.
I'm not a huge fan of the Terrifier franchise, but I recognize that it is a juggernaut. I think it introduced a whole new generation to practical effects. I may have said this on here before, but it didn't do a lot for me. But I can see the appeal in certain
Yeah, no,
aspects.
my take is pretty much exactly the same as yours, Bronson. Like it was one of those I've only seen the first two. I actually haven't even seen the third one yet. But as I was watching, I was thinking, they're really not that great. I think they're a little overrated, if I'm being completely honest. And we better not let my buddy Dylan hear that, because I think he thinks those movies are like the greatest thing ever. He like cosplays as Art the Clown,
Younger
but yeah,
generation.
but I had the same reaction. But I do respect the director Damien Leon as an independent filmmaker who is able to take, his creation and his idea and grow it to the point to where it's now this major iconic piece of pop culture that's, raking in all this money at the box office. So I have great respect for those movies, even though they're not 100% for me. I don't think that they were bad. I just don't think they're as good as a lot of people play them up to be. But
So you mentioned cosplay. So you guys were saying that you do cosplay videos too?
yeah, so I'll go to conventions now pretty much all over the country. It started kind of just doing like local Memphis conventions here near Memphis, around Memphis, Tennessee. But now I go to them all over the country, and so I'll just go to Comic Cons, partly to promote the film studio, but then also just to film cosplayers, and I'll put together like little cosplay music video highlight reels for my channel,
Mm-hmm.
and those have gotten a pretty good degree of success. I think
Cool.
Bronson's a pretty big fan of those.
Me and Brandy were in a few. Yeah.
Yeah, she's been. He's been in a couple of them. Both of y'all. Yeah, both of y'all.
Yeah,
have
well,
been
you
in a
guys
couple
dress
of
up a
those.
lot. Yeah. Well, I made myself buy some Halloween costumes this year. I didn't have anything.
Oh, what'd you dress up as?
I didn't. I never get invited to anything, but I went ahead and got a couple of costumes for next year. I'm trying.
Oh,
What
there
did
you
we
go.
buy? Oh, what is that outfit from the movie Maverick? It's like a military, sexy
Mm.
military,
Oh,
sneaky.
like a aircraft
Yeah, like a
pilot type
flyer
thing.
guy.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
gotcha.
Bronson, like that.
So, uh,
Like
I
Air
got some
Force
questions.
fighter pilot, sexy
There you go.
pilot.
You could have worn it on the podcast.
Well, you can't see anything.
Oh, I did tell Honey she's got to be on the Kicking Lawyer podcast. There's two lawyers.
Yeah, we can get you on there. Yeah, so that's
I don't know what
part
I
of
talk
my
about. I don't. What does he do?
yeah.
He's personal
Don't
injury.
worry,
Well,
his brother will guide you along.
Yeah, Jerry, my brother, the kicking lawyer, is a chattermouth, and so we produce. It's not really weekly anymore. It's kind of now just whenever we have a guest on, if I'm being honest. But we'll produce a podcast called Law Talk, and he initially started it to primarily focus on talking about legal stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but now it's just kind of grown into him talking about whatever with various guests. So he'll talk about like Bigfoot or aliens or just
Well,
whatever's on
that's
his
like
mind.
I have a I had one for my business, and it was called Winning at Divorce. and we
Oh, there you go.
did
Yeah.
we did like 8 episodes, and then COVID hit, and then nobody would come do the interview, and so that one's just kind of floating around
Right.
on a channel out there with little eight things on there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
well,
this
no, we
one
got it.
was
We got to get you on Law Talk though. Yeah.
this one was all going to be about learning. And then
Mhm.
next thing I know, it turned into just us BSing about whatever.
That's how you always start with like a really good idea of what
Yeah.
something's going to be, and then it just kind of morphs into whatever once you get going.
Yeah, especially get Bronson
Well,
on here. We get way
Yeah.
sidetracked.
yeah. Well, I know you watched some of his short films, honey, but you should definitely go back tonight and watch some of those cosplay videos. They're really
I
cool.
watched
And
a
he's
couple of them because they're only a couple minutes long, and then I jumped around
yeah.
and watched some of the other ones.
Yeah, those are the most digestible piece of content. So, yeah, if anybody out there who watches this wants to check out his stuff, it's Mason Studios on YouTube,
Yeah,
and they can find all the videos and everything on there. But the cosplay videos are the easiest to kind of watch because most of them are only like 3 minutes long.
yeah, they weren't very long.
Whereas some of the short films and things we've done are 20 to 30.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's
know
good
Josh's favorite director of all time is Michael Bay.
That's
Honey,
right.
do you have, and I don't know if he's necessarily my favorite, but I find him to be an unsung hero, Bob Clark, because he did 3 great films. He did Black Christmas, a really cult classic horror movie. He did Porky, one of the biggest teen sex comedies of the 80s ever. And he did A Freaking Christmas Story. Like 3 different movies.
Well, everybody
he
saw
nailed-
Porky's.
He nailed them all so perfectly. Like, that's a good director. If you can nail that.
If you can nail all those different genres, that's skill right there. I don't even think that's not a skill that I have.
I totally forgot about Porky's. Oh my gosh, I remember that was such a hit, man, back in the day.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that probably 30 years probably.
Came out in 82.
Yeah, 40 years. Oh my gosh.
82. So it's the second biggest drive-in movie of all time. I believe Chainsaw Massacre is number 1. Texas
Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, I haven't seen that in forever either.
I was going to ask, honey, do you have a director that you tend to like his stuff? Tarantino or Scorsese or the guy that did Last Jedi?
That's my least favorite director.
I really don't.
Although you did say his name, you're just like that guy.
I don't really like a zillion movies in one genre. I jump all over the place, and then sometimes I don't like the sequels, even if it's the same director. I'll be like, why'd they do that? Why'd they change it? And then sometimes, when they change directors, it makes it better or worse. I don't know. It's.
Well, Josh, I do have a question for you. It's a 2-part question. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Shoot.
I know your favorite director. So who's your favorite second unit production designer of all time?
Second unit production designer. Man, that's
question is that?
I have no idea.
Production designer.
Sip some more of your medicine.
I could tell you second unit director, which would be Andy Serkis, because he was second unit on the Hobbit films.
Hey, good comeback. I didn't expect an answer from that.
So yeah, I knew no second unit director, but second unit production designer, I don't know.
What about most overrated director?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Oh, man.
Cameron?
Sometimes, depending on the movie. Oh, I know. Probably Ridley Scott, because he had his heyday. He was great at one time. Don't get me wrong. He made some of my favorite films of all time. The original Alien, Gladiator. He's at times a phenomenal director, but he's also made a lot of garbage too. So he's very hit or miss.
Maybe it was the script, or
it's possible.
Yeah, or maybe he just didn't have as much autonomy.
Yeah, but I got high hopes for Gladiator 2. That comes out this weekend, so maybe he'll
Gladiator, the first Gladiator was good, but I never thought the guy who played the lead,
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. I never thought he looked like the super bad ASS kind of guy.
Yeah, he does just kind of look like your everyman, which might have been intentional.
His little arms. I mean, one of the Von Erichs would have been better.
See, that's where being raised on like the 1980s action films come from, and we all have that image in our head of Rambo. That's how we think all leads should look.
It's a gladiator, a gladiator, super duper macho man. And did you see like the big guys he was beating up? I'm like, really? No, not with those spaghetti arms.
Yeah,
Right.
it went from Rambo and Van Damme and all those
Yeah, Van Damme.
Schwarzenegger, and then it's like, you know, a guy my age, Liam Neeson, with no muscle tone whatsoever, you know,
Yeah. I have
or
particular
Mulholland
skills.
even.
I have particular skills.
Particular set of skills. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's why the Expendable movies were like a religious experience for me. Especially when that first Expendables came out, I was like, it's everybody. I was like, this is better than the like. Forget the Avengers. Like the Expendables is where it's at. You got Stallone and Arnold and Chuck Norris and everybody in the movie together. So,
So,
Yeah, right.
um, what was the first horror movie you ever saw that you were like, whoa, I dig this?
this might be a surprising answer because I did not like, unlike a lot of folks, I didn't grow up watching horror films a whole lot. That wasn't my genre as a kid, and honestly, most of them I thought, oh, I'm going to be scared of this, so I don't want to watch it. So I didn't really get into
Right.
the horror genre until the past like I don't know 7 or 8 years, really. But the first one I saw where I was like, oh, that was genuinely terrifying was the first Conjuring movie, was James Wan's Conjuring.
Yeah.
And then I kind of then
Okay.
backtracked from that from like modern horror films into watching some of the classic stuff like from the 70s and 80s. And so I mean now I'm pretty well versed in a lot of them, but that first Conjuring movie was I think spectacular. I thought it was just very well done.
Have you seen it, honey? It's great.
Very
There's no
good.
blood. There's no blood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't think.
that's that supernatural, paranormal, freaky, creepy stuff.
Yeah, lots of
Well,
demons and stuff. Yeah.
I'll tell
And I
both
know
of
that
you.
stuff's real. I know it's real. So when I see it, it's not just I can't say, "Ooh, that's fake blood." I sit
Well,
there and I go, "Oh God, that's what was in my room the other day."
we saw The Conjuring in the theater. Me and Brandy and our friend Maria and Josh. You know
Oh yeah, I don't see.
that
Yeah.
scene? Okay, I
Yes.
kid
Yeah.
you not. I bet 50 people jumped out of their seat.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw it. I saw it in front of me. Maria was the first one. She jumped to her feet. I mean, it got me, but I mean, I'm literally 50 people jumped out of their seat when that happened. So
A
that's
lot of jump
bravo.
scares.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's effective jump scares though. A lot of movies will overdo the jump scare, I think, and
You trying
sometimes
to
I think they'll
spook
do
us
them and
out?
do them. A lot of movies will do them ineffectively, and
Hmm.
no, I think Conjuring they did it right with that one. Yeah.
What happened? Did he
Did
disappear?
Bronson's like in darkness now. What
Where did
happened?
he go? Bronson,
He got attacked by the Conjuring monsters. That's why.
the paranormal, the ghost took over the computer.
Yeah.
Bronson.
Because he's not only froze up, he's just like in.
Okay. All right. Where did you go, Bronson? What happened to you?
My back power went off for like 1 second. And then it had to reset the internet, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
So
you're
where were we? We're
fine.
talking about these internet election meltdown videos, I think.
I think we were talking about the Conjuring, and we thought
Oh,
a
The
ghost
Conjuring.
got
Okay.
you.
Yeah, we thought the Conjuring demons had come after you.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Well, those meltdown videos are scarier than The Conjuring.
Too much of that medicine over there you're taking.
Yeah, Bronson's got
I
the
haven't
medicine.
seen a bunch of them this time. Has there been a bunch of meltdown videos?
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah,
No.
I don't even watch them.
You have
Mental
no
health.
idea.
It's mental health. I think
You have no idea.
it's like get real. Mental health.
I don't know if they need more drugs, a different drug, or to get off drugs. I really don't.
Probably more drugs.
But
A
anyway, let's not get in
combination of
trouble,
all three.
kids.
All right, be nice. They're people too.
So Josh, I don't know how much time we have left. A couple
Oh
minutes?
well, we started all over, so we got like 30 minutes.
Oh,
Oh,
Say
well, there you
what you
go.
want to say.
Yeah.
well, I got like one more question. So,
Oh, okay.
so you said The Conjuring, that's not your favorite? Is that your favorite horror movie of all time? Or
Actually, it might
You
be.
said that was the one that
That's
spooked him
tough.
out the most. Remember
That
the
was
first
yeah,
one?
it was one of the first ones I watched, and it was one of the ones that spooked me out the most. And I do think it is one of the most well done. I don't know that I'm 100% willing to say that's my favorite. It's probably in my top five for sure, though. But there's other great ones out there. Like I tell you, the one it actually is probably between two that might be my all-time favorite. It's either, and they're both John Carpenter films, either John Carpenter's original Halloween, or The Thing. as I think those are both absolute masterpieces. And I was behind the curve on everybody because I only first saw those movies for the very first time, I think in Halloween, I saw 2017 for the first time, the original. And then The Thing, I only saw it for the first time like maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm.
So I was super late to the party. And then I finally saw them, and then I was mad at myself that I waited as long as I did to finally watch those because they're both just absolute masterpieces, both of those films.
Well, hey, I got lucky. So it was the late 70s. I was 5 or 6, early 80s, and my sister was about 9 years older than me, one of my sisters. So she had to babysit me, and she would go to the theater. And I didn't really watch them when I was that young, but I would be sitting near her and her friends. They were all teenagers, and they would scream and then laugh and then scream and I mean, this was back in the 70s. So cigarette butts were flying, and it just, I didn't know what was going on. I could hear the music and kind of hear the screams, but I knew whatever it was, I wanted to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You weren't
There's
there?
something going on that screen that was getting a reaction from my sister, her friends, and everybody else in that audience that I had to be a part of. So I got hooked on horror movies very early, but I was probably about 10 or 11 before I really was able to sit down and watch them without running and leaving the room every 2 minutes. And then I finally realized I made it to the end of, believe it or not, I think it was Return of the Living Dead. Because at the very beginning of the movie, it says based on true events. And by the way, honey, these people were all at the Memphis MonsterCon, the cast. But at the very beginning, it says based on true events. But then at the end, they do kind of not really a blooper reel, but it keeps you kind of watching the credits till the end. And at the very end, you know what it is, Josh, honey? It says this movie, these actors, these characters are all completely fictitious. I hope, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's
So
not
is
real.
a false advertising going on?
No, it's just when I first realized it. Because
Oh.
when I was a kid and before kids had computers and everything, I thought every horror movie happened in my town.
Oh.
I thought Halloween happened in Brownsville, Tennessee.
Oh my goodness.
Somehow in my head, Jaws happened in Brownsville, Tennessee.
With the ocean.
Couldn't go to the lake anymore, huh?
I wouldn't get in the swimming pool.
Yeah, that was me.
No, it was about a whole summer I would not get in the water. So
yeah, I wouldn't. I still to this day can't stand getting in the lake. It's just like, it's murky, it's dirty, it's black. I don't know what's in there.
Yeah, no, I don't like the bodies of water where I can't see what's like beneath me. Yeah,
exactly.
I'll be afraid something's gonna like slither past my foot. And
they need a Jaws that's been nuked somehow, and now he's invisible. Invisible Jaws.
Invisible Jaws. This is scary.
Coming to you in a theater nearby.
And they got that Invisible Raptor movie coming. Have you seen the trailer for that, Bronson?
No.
It's some low budget horror, but it looks like pretty well done. It's literally an invisible velociraptor wreaking havoc on this town. And the trailer is every bit as wonderful as you would think based on
that's one way to get around needing CGI.
That's what everybody was saying. That's what everybody said in the comments. They were like, well, that's one way to do a film like that on a low budget because you don't have to show the raptor,
I did watch last year. You both would enjoy this film. It's called Velocipaster.
Oh,
I've heard of this. I've heard of it.
No.
Yeah.
Very low budget. Very low budget.
No.
It's about a pastor that I remember he turns into a velociraptor and kills people.
Naturally, as they do.
Yeah. But in the film, when his parents get killed, somebody blows up their car. It shows where the car is supposed to be, and I think it said missing CGI effect. So you don't actually get to see a car blow up. So it kind of poked fun of itself.
That makes me think of that. There was the one shot when we did the Mario Brothers fan film last year. I was sending, as I was editing it, I was sending like rough early cuts of it to my buddy Raymond, who actually was the co-screenwriter on the movie. And so there was one early one I did where I didn't have an explosion shot finished. So as a placeholder, I just had a black screen that just had the word explosion typed out and just plain white text. So there's like all this action where the Mario Brothers are running around, they're in a firefight, shooting guns, and all this crazy stuff's happening. And then it just hard cuts that black screen with the word explosion, and it goes back to the action. And so I sent that version to Raymond for him to review other things in the scene, not even for a reaction off of that. And he sent me back. He was like, "Man," he was like, I was like, "I would give anything if you would just leave it in the movie like that," because he said he thought that was like the best part of the incomplete version of the film. Now, obviously, the final version, there's an actual explosion there, but yeah, he went on and on about how he thought that was hilarious. That it was
That's
just a
one
black
way to
screen.
not worry about
Yeah,
getting permits
yeah.
to
And I
blow
was thinking,
things
hey,
up.
I would much rather just have to type out the word than actually
Yeah.
go and put the work in to do because that's way easier, you know.
Oh my goodness.
It kind of like I watched a movie called Satan's Blade, and so every time the killer would go to kill somebody, you see the weapon, whatever it was,
Yeah.
and the girl would scream or the guy would scream, and you just see it come down, and then they never showed the wound; they just sling blood on a wall.
Yeah.
Just there's some blood on the wall or blood
Now
on the
that
floor.
I can tolerate.
It's a tactic that they still use to this day in a lot of movies.
I can
Yeah.
tolerate that. That's cool.
But they didn't take any time to put the actual effects on. So
Yeah.
I just don't think you need to have someone laying there and their body parts are hanging off and guts oozing out. I don't need to see that.
it's a different. It depends on who the director and writer and how it's all filmed. But sometimes I can see a body chopped up into 10 pieces, and it means nothing to me. It doesn't affect me. And then sometimes you see it, and you're like, "Oh shit!" it depends on how it's filmed.
Yeah, it's all about how effective was the director because you can have films where it's done very effective, like some would argue the Terrifier movies where, the showing of the cutting up is very effective. And then you have other movies where they do stuff like that and people will be like, "Oh, why did they have to show all that? Like there's no need for it." And then you have directors who are good at directing movies where they don't show what happens. And what's scarier is what you sometimes don't see.
Your imagination
and an example of that
is scarier.
Oh yeah, 100%. Your imagination is, I think, scarier sometimes than what they physically show you. Jaws is an example of one where,
Well, when they got me with the girl bobbing up and down, I'm like, okay, I'm done. That was all I needed to see. My imagination just went off.
Her name was Susan Backlinie or Susan Backlinie. I can't remember. I've met her.
Oh yeah.
But they had her. She was topless, but she had on jeans, and so they put ropes through her jeans, and they had people off screen in the water, just pulling her back and forth. I believe that's the story to make it look like he was thrashing her.
Oh, that's interesting. I never realized that until you said that. Now thinking back to that scene, that makes sense. I'm like, oh, that is how you would do that. Yeah.
Almost a common sense. Like once you think about it, you're like, how they do that?
Like, well, it becomes
obvious. They put ropes
you...
through my jeans and just pulled me.
All I could think about is the teeth yanking and pulling on her.
Yeah. Well, I will say another, and I've seen. It's just like we were just talking about who directs it and how it's seen, but I've seen dogs attack people in film 1,000 times, right? Cujo and Man's Best Friend and Django Unchained, but there was an Argentinian movie that came out last year called When Evil Lurks.
That's a good title.
Yeah, When Evil Lurks. Oh my gosh. But I think I voted it on BroodaLarts the best horror movie of the year. It won a bunch of awards in Argentina, which, horror movies don't win anything at the Oscars, but the Oscars are a joke anyway. But this movie had a scene, and so the evil can spread from person to person or animal to animal, and they don't really get into explaining it. They just let the movie go, and there's a scene with a 6-year-old girl and a pit bull. And you don't see any blood. It's not gory. But I literally, twice in the first 20 minutes of that movie, I went, what the F am I watching? Because it was so well done. So if you haven't seen it, either one of you, oh my gosh.
I actually saw a pit bull attack a kid once. That's not good.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I actually saw the real thing.
Yeah, it's probably that's not a good experience, I'm sure. Yeah.
It was sad.
Yeah.
It was it was a toddler. Yeah. Wasn't good.
Yeah, Please tell me they ended up okay.
Um, yeah. So I was at a pool party, and these people brought their dog and tied him up on the tree, and other people had their kids, and the kids were just walking around and playing and running around. And then they went over and gave the dog some food, and the little toddler was walking by, and the dog thought she was trying to get his food, so he attacked her and was flinging her everywhere. And everybody started screaming, and one of the big guys, like a dad maybe or something, a man, comes running over there, and he had to literally rip the dog mouth open. He was
Oh,
like punching the dog and trying to. I mean, it was awful.
well,
It
that's
was a
a
mess. Yeah, there was like
towards the
one
end of
guy
this
grabbed
thing.
it,
That's
then another
horrible.
guy had to get involved, and the child had to be rushed to the emergency room. She
Oh,
survived, but she had a lot of stitches and a lot of trauma. Yeah,
well,
yeah, it's serious business, man. Not the kind of
bring the
dog.
podcast to a crash. Jesus.
And on a lighter note,
On a lighter note.
All right. So I guess we're getting close to being done. Or we need to go all the way through, or
Well, hey,
no,
I could
it's
real
up to you
quick before
guys.
we
You want
wrap
to talk
up.
about something, or we can go to bed?
I was gonna say I could talk about the new big movie that I've got coming up that I'm
Cool,
really
yeah.
excited
Tell
about.
us about what you got going on next.
So yeah, we're doing a feature length, completely original film that's going to be made and produced, intended for theatrical distribution here in the next year, called Cinematic Adventure, and I'm super excited about it. It's going to be the most expensive and ambitious project that we've ever done. I'm doing a nationwide casting search right now. Matter of fact, I've got auditions I've got to review after this podcast that I
Need
think
some
are
old ladies
people are emailing to me.
and
I will need a lot of people.
and a broken down wrestler.
I will need it's sort of going to be like a all hands on deck type scenario. I will need everyone for this movie because it is going to be a pretty big undertaking. But I'm really excited about it. It's an idea I've had for about the past 10 years now. And the general concept that I tell people, the short pitch is it's essentially kind of like Night at the Museum sort of,
Mm.
except set in a movie theater. So
Oh.
instead of like museum stuff coming to life, it's literally in a movie theater, and all these different movies are leaping off the screen because there's going to be a whole deal with one of the projectors is magic or whatever, and causes
Ooh.
all these film characters to wreak havoc. But it revolves around the main character is this teenage kid. It's his first summer job working at the movie theater, and he's the usher, and he's been tasked with staying overnight to clean up the place because the next day they've got a big red carpet world premiere of this big movie coming out. And so he's been tasked with his boss, the theater manager, with making sure that the place is spotless. And of course, all these dinosaurs running around, and pirates and ninjas and horror film characters and animated squirrels that sing and talk and every other thing you could think of in any movie that you've ever seen, all are running around wreaking havoc. That isn't exactly making his job any easier. So his job is
Where
to
do they
rally
come
his
from?
friends together.
Are they
They're well,
coming
they're
out?
coming out of the films,
Oh, they're coming
so
while they're
that
going.
yeah, they'll literally come out of the screen. So it might be getting maybe specific here, but yeah, they'll literally there will be like a magical event that happens, and the characters will all come out of the screens and then just run amok inside the theater. So
That
Are you
sounds
uh,
fun.
going to be
yeah, I
filming
think it'll be a
mainly
fun time.
mainly in West Tennessee?
Yes, yes. So I already have a couple of theaters in mind. It's just a matter of locking down exactly which one I'm going to use. And there is a big theater chain. If you had to guess, you could probably guess what theater it would probably be at, and because there's only really one big theater chain in West Tennessee, so likely it will be in one of those theaters.
Okay.
If you know anything about West Tennessee theaters, but yeah, so we'll be doing that. Hopefully, shooting this summer. But I'm very passionate about it because, like I said at the beginning, I love movies. I love everything about films. Even before I was making films, I was passionate about watching them, and so
Yeah.
uh, growing up having such a love for cinema and a love for films, to be able to make a movie that is essentially a love letter to cinema. And my first job was an usher at a movie theater. So obviously I'm drawing from those experiences and kind of
Yeah.
applying it to this. So anyway, it's something I'm very excited about. And I'm already buying new equipment to get ready
Yeah.
for it. We're shooting the whole thing on the DJI Ronin 6K, which is a really cool advanced camera rig that the recent A24 movie Civil War was shot on that rig, and
Oh, cool.
it's really cool camera. Got a 6K sensor on it. It's got a built-in gimbal, and anyway, it's I could get
Some
super
fancy
nerdy
gadget.
about very fancy gadget. So that's what we're going to shoot it on. And yeah, anyway, it'll be a fun time. So
Well,
I'm
good
pretty
for
stoked
you.
about it.
You go.
we'll be a part of it in the background. Let's get Honey down here for a cameo, and like you said, all
Yeah.
hands on deck.
I
We'll
mean,
have
Bronson will let me
everybody in the
crash at his
movie.
place.
There you go.
But all these critters, you never get any sleep.
See, he's always got an
But
excuse. They
so,
never invite me over.
but you can still come over, but you just don't want to stay here because you'll never get any sleep. But well, I guess before we wrap this up, Josh, anything else? I know you were talking about the movie. I know it's kind of the end of the con season. Anything
Yeah,
else you
I've
got
got
going on?
just got one more con. I got MCFC this weekend. That's my final convention of the year. So I'll be doing a cosplay music video for that this weekend. And then I don't have another con until a fan expo in January. So that'll kind of be when the convention season for me kicks back up again. So I'm basically going to take December to just sleep and not do anything because I feel like
Nice.
I did a billion conventions the past 2 months because I pretty much did. So I need some time to rest and recuperate and get ready for all the craziness that next year is going to bring. So, but I will
Very good.
encourage everybody who's watching, check out our stuff. It's Mason Studios on YouTube, and trying to get, eventually to 100,000 subscribers, which that'll probably be way
Wow.
in the future,
And
but
that'd be great.
make it
I think I
happen.
have like
Yeah.
250. Like,
Yeah, well,
nobody wants
I'm
to
nowhere
subscribe
near
to me.
either. I'm only at like, I don't know, 3,300 or something like that. But hey, the way I look at it is I do the math in my head like I only need about 96,000 more, and then I'll be there.
I'd be happy to
Well,
break 1,000.
well, honey, thank you for having me on again. Josh, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank
Thanks,
y'all for having me.
guys.
I appreciate it.
So
Yeah.
much
Maybe
fun, as always. Thank you, Bronson, for bringing on your amazing guests. And thanks, Josh Mason. It's very nice to meet you. And sure, let me know. I'd love to come play with you guys.
Yeah, be a fun time. Thank y'all.
Awesome. You guys have a good night and thank you.